Hey, folks, welcome back. It's Tom Nicoli, Master Visionary, and I am really excited today because I'm going to share a very clear message that a lot of you probably haven't even thought about. I'm going to share with you maybe why we're even here. You want to talk about the question that people ask and almost nobody answers or answers clearly. And you may be very surprised at how simple my answer is as to why was I even born? Why am I even here? What's it all about? Right? And then when I share my perspective on that, then we're going to talk about, are you really doing what you're here for and why not? Now, I just assume the answer is no, I'm not doing what I'm here for because the vast majority of us aren't. So why are we here? Have you ever asked yourself that? Have you ever talked about it? We have for one word. I'm going to break it down to one word for you, okay? Experiences. Yeah. What life is nothing more than an accumulation of experiences. Those experiences along the way help us develop into or become whatever version of us we become. However, there aren't many people who are truly happy in the outcome. I mean, let's face it. You see, the first part of change is to be honest. Okay? If we're not honest, then we're dabbling on the other side of that coin with rationalizing and justifying our situation, which is denial. The first thing that must happen for us to become free is we need to be honest with ourselves. So the simple question would be, am I happy? Is life what I once dreamed or hoped or thought it would be? Am I envious and jealous because I see other people having experiences that I'm not? And if you're really living, I mean, pushing those emotions, experiencing things most people don't, then you're living with an explosively expressed life. And that's the key of where we want to get. And that's part of what I'm going to talk about today, okay? If we're not living an explosively expressed life where we start more conversations with, you're not going to believe what happened. Oh, let me tell you what I did today. Or let me tell you something that I experienced. Well, then we're probably in the routine of mundane. It's a cycle, it's repetition, it's flat. We're not having experiences because we got caught up in the machine. We got caught up in the lies. That life is all about waking up every day, working as hard as you can, make as much as you can to buy as much shit as you can. Yep. No. Life is about finding out what this is all about, to have experiences to gain more insights, more awarenesses. Okay. So there's a simple way to go about this. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that I want you to ask yourself. So the experiences of why we're here and the experiences you have will help you develop into something different or more of the same. The problem is most people don't know how to make the change, but that's what Master Visionary coaching and all of this work is about, is helping people make the changes they're unable to make on their own. So ask yourself this. Am I going somewhere? Are my efforts, is the energy that I'm using every day bringing me towards something better? That's really what every day's about, right? To be better today than we were yesterday, at whatever increment, whatever percentage. So you ask yourself, are things better? So look back 1 to 3 years, okay? Now, we know how quickly time goes by once we get to the arrival time. For instance, at the beginning of the year, you forget how quickly time goes by until it's already September 1st in 2020, and you think, wow, what have you done this whole year so far? No excuses. It doesn't matter what's going on in the current climate of the world. What have you done for 8 months? So look back 1 to 3 years, then ask yourself, are things the same or are they different? And if they're different, are they worse or are they better? Or is it just slightly different because, things naturally progress in a way? But is it basically the same? Is there any personal growth, any progress? Whatever the answer is, you can look ahead 1 to 3 years. You can bet that will be the answer. Because most likely, if nothing has changed in a year to 3 years, nothing's going to change from 1 to 3 years from now. That's being held hostage. But you wouldn't think of it that way, because when you think of being held hostage, you picture a kidnapping, chains and shackles, handcuffs, right? It is exactly the same, except it's invisible. So, what is a hostage? A hostage is a person seized or held for security for the fulfillment of a condition. So, in a kidnapping, and it's a ransom, the fulfillment, the condition, and the fulfillment would be the money that's paid for the release of the hostage. But not all hostages have those terms and conditions. So, in this case, before we look at what the terms and conditions are, I want to look at what holds us hostage here. Again, in one word, I'm going to share with you what holds us hostage as I bring my screen back up. So here we are going along, believing, thinking, accepting that we're doing what we are supposed to do, which is not how to live, not what you're supposed to do. Who said what you're supposed to do? Who said this is what you should do? Here's what you're supposed to do. Whoever said what you're supposed to do is just basing things on their rules and their way. So we become hostage based on one word, past. The past is holding your present hostage. Now, it could be a complete accumulation of so much that went on in your past, or it could be something that's just simple or one thing. For instance, you could have so much going on all cylinders, and yet there's something that keeps sabotaging you. There's something that just keeps getting in the way, and you don't know what it is. Now, the problem is this isn't all conscious. This isn't conscious analytical thinking. That is the most limited part of us. That's why we don't figure out what's wrong. We'll figure out what to do. Because what we're talking about is at a deeper level, okay? It's at a subconscious level. It's the hard drive to the computer, not the keyboard. The keyboard is the thinking, the analytics, the logic. Life is not logical. Life's emotional, and emotions are illogical. And that's why there's a conflict, and those two don't align. However, the past is people's perceptions, your own perceptions of a younger version who wasn't as experienced, as informed, as educated, as enlightened, as insightful, as aware. And when something comes up in life, no matter what you know now, the mind resorts back to when you were younger because that's how you reacted to the situation. And then you react to the situation now thinking, oh my God, what the heck did I just do? Like I was a child. Yeah. So something from the past that's stored in the subconscious mind, like a warehouse, a storehouse, is always waiting to be triggered. So when it gets triggered, we react the same way. That's a shackle. That's a lock. You need a key to know how to unlock that, and you know how to use the key, where to put it in, how to turn it. Because a lot of people find keys, like they'll read a self-help book or some book on a process or technique, but they really aren't taught how to use it. They're taught what to do, but not how. And if you think about it, even making money online, everything that's out there, people tell you what you need to do. They don't tell you how. Okay? So here we are held hostage by parts of, or a lot of, or most of our past. And we're not understanding that it's up to the present moment self to stop and interrupt these patterns. Let me share something with you that will blow your mind. And most people deny it, but if we discuss it a little bit, you'll see it holds true. Okay. We hear of the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. It was an Italian economist who actually found that when he opened up pea pods, 80% of the peas came out of 20% of the pods. Only 20% of the peas came out of 80% of the pods. Now in life, unfortunately, most people chase down the 80%, the bulk. It's like 80% of your clients give you 20% of your income. So go after the 20%. That's giving you 80% of your income. So this is constant through life. 80% of the people you see 20% of the time, but 20% of the people you see 80% of the time. 20% of the clothing you have, you wear 80% of the time. 80% of those clothes you wear 20% of the time. Okay? Well, when it comes to the way we function, when it comes to these patterns, oh, by the way, when I say patterns, you can also think of it as habits, okay? So we come up with what we call patterns or habits. Now, we have behavioral habits, but we have many other habits that run our life. And by the way, come over to mastervisionary.com, click on live, and then click here to speak with Tom. And let's get together here while you have me, and let's discuss maybe something that you can apply right away that could be a key to start unlocking some of those shackles. So let's look at it. We have behavioral thought patterns, habits. Something happens, and then we have a certain reaction. We think a certain way. Or we have speech patterns that are habits. Something comes up, somebody says something, and somebody else says, you say that every single time this comes up. They say, no, I don't. And everyone else says, yeah, you do. Ever happened? Our behavioral habits, our muscle memory. When we talk, we have certain habits, right? 90% of the thoughts going on in your head, of the things you say, and the reactions that you have are 90% habit. They're 90% pattern. 10% of what you think, say, and do is new and original. Think about this. So that means without the awareness, without the honesty, and without the stopping and making a commitment and a decision to find what those keys are and to change direction, the odds are 90% that you're going to be the same thing as time goes on. I mean, let's face it. It doesn't have to be 1 to 3 years. You could talk to people and they'll be like, well, I've been going to that job. I've been doing that thing. I've been, with this person. That's our routine. 20 years later, we have this on, we eat this for dinner on this night, or we go to this place on this night, or we go with these people and go to see that thing on this night. And that's been going on for 20 years. Routines become ruts. Some routines are great. You exercise in the morning, you eat healthy, you wash, you groom. Those are great routines. But the routines that keep us stuck are the shackles, the chains, the locks. So I had said that when we're held hostage, that there's a fulfillment, right? There's a condition. So what would that which is holding you hostage require as a condition to set you free? Because what's holding you hostage is your mind. What we call the past is a lot of information stored up in what we call our subconscious mind, that which we do not access consciously through thought and conversation and analytics. So these beliefs, these perceptions, by the way, up until the time you're 7 years old, we don't have an analytical, unique, original thought. We're an open hard drive that's being downloaded upon. So for 7 years, your environment, the people around you, the things that you were subject to or victim of is what the mind started with. So it's important to sit with yourself and even ask yourself, are these really my beliefs? Do I really believe in this that I was told or this that I had to do? Do I really believe what my folks believe and what my friends believe? Or am I just doing it because, well, it's primal. I want to fit in. I want to be accepted into the tribe, into the group. That's what peer pressure is. If we weren't, then we didn't get the cave, we didn't get shelter, we didn't procreate, we didn't get to eat. So peer pressure works if we allow ourselves to just stumble along, dum-de-dum-dum, right? So the conditions for release are new patterns formed. Once the mind has you delivering new patterns, increased awareness and insight, then it lets go of what's holding you hostage. Because it's the part that said, your wish is my command. And that's done by using processes and techniques and guidance that make those new patterns possible. So this is really where we're at, folks. It's a simplicity that's been overlooked. There's less to this thing called life than people make out. You know, it's up or down, it's hot or cold, it's black or white, it's day or night, right? But then people fill in all that gray area. So when the question is asked, are you living an explosively expressed life? It's a yes or a no. If you say, well, denial is coming, rationalizing, disclaimers, it's okay if you're not, because the greatest thing you'll ever do is be honest and open so change can begin. You see? So how is it we go about this? Well, we go about this through modalities and processes and mind techniques that have been around since we've been documenting behavior. The real irony to it all is that what we need to know, we always knew. We just weren't enlightened to it. Meaning what we need to know is inside of us. What we need to know, we already brought with us when we entered this physical world. But it's how do we use it? Meaning thoughts, feelings, and the 5 senses that you have in your physical reality that also exist in your imagination, you see. So what has happened is people have gotten so detached from life because, especially, you know, in America or other capitalist, based societies, which is great, people forgot about living. You know, when I started traveling to Europe and doing session work and teaching seminars and workshops and such, I heard it very early on that the perception is we work to live, but Americans live to work. That's the perception. So why do we work? Well, we work to make money. Why do we make money? To pay bills and to buy stuff. So the first thing we look at is, why are we doing what we're doing? Do we really believe that what we're doing is the way? Well, if it hasn't changed, if it hasn't helped, if it hasn't allowed progression and achievement and accomplishment, if you haven't got your personal goals and your financial goals in order, then it's not working, right? But the problem is this. I wish I had a drum roll. If I had a little button here, I'd press it for a drum roll. Here's what the problem is. People keep doing what they know doesn't work because they don't know there's another way. That's really what it boils down to, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. You'd say, if I had known, I would have done that. Well, I'm helping you right now learn and realize so you can know that there are absolute, natural, effective, comfortable, fun, and easy ways that are the keys that unlock those shackles that have kept you held hostage, that have prevented you from being able to live a more explosively expressed life, or just live to get to that part, you know? And I understand what it's like. I remember 3 jobs, and building my practice was my 3rd job 20 years ago, 21 years ago. I know what it's like to be awake 20 hours a day, to get as minimal sleep and not be that healthy because of it. I know what it's like to grind and push and hope you have that much discipline and work ethic to do it. But guess what? I went through it all and I learned it doesn't work. I mean, it worked as far as accomplishing and achieving certain goals. But do you know what it's like to achieve your financial goals and be miserable or be unfulfilled, be unhappy? You're better off being happy and not making as much money. You're better off being healthy. Because once you make all the money and then you're unhappy and unhealthy, you use all of your money to get happy and healthy. What crazy ass game we're playing here. So let's get off this maniacal cycle. You know, let's get out of what people are doing because they've been conditioned to do it, not because it's what they believe, not because it's what they started out to do, it's because they fell into. I mean, it's easy to fall into it when you're molded this way all through school and you're taught you should get more schooling and spend tremendous amounts of money so you can get a better job and still work all those hours. What kind of craziness is that? I'm not saying everybody should be an entrepreneur, but I love the phrase, I'd rather have my future in my hands than yours. There's a lot more to it than just showing up and getting paid. But in my world, in my mind, it's well worth it. But that isn't even the point, right? So what is the first thing? Because I know we're going to take a pause soon here. But what's the first thing that I have people say? Well, I'm going to let you hold on to that thought. And when we come back from this short break, I'm going to share the first thing that can help you start changing direction. We'll be back in a minute.
Are you a CEO or an executive suffering from unbearable stress? Do you feel like you're burning out and your leadership skills are suffering? There's good news. You're only 12 weeks away from turning it all around. The Master Visionary Coaching Program gives you all the resources to do so with less effort than it takes to load your groceries into your car. The Master Visionary Coaching Program is by application only. Apply now at mastervisionary.com.
Well, all right. Remember, wherever you're watching this, come on over to mastervisionary.com, click live, and then click here to speak with Tom. And then you can interact. You can share something with me that, well, a friend is experiencing, not you, right? And I'll share a few things that will help you get by it, get past it, get through it. And we can do it right now, face to face. You know, come spend a little time with me. Okay. So listen, what's the first thing we can do? It's very, very, very simple. Very, very simple. Click that link that's on the screen and come on over. Okay. So we're becoming overwhelmed, we're becoming overworked, then we get stuck being hostage to the situation, right? Well, the very first thing that is a very common practice that isn't even part of the techniques and processes and such that I help that go on in between your ears that I help you learn and apply so you become self-empowered, because that's what it's about, getting people empowered, not codependent. Okay. The first way to whittle away your hours is to look at why you work as much as you do, and that is to earn a certain amount. So there are needs and wants. You know, I grew up very, very blue collar and very minimal. Triple deckers in the Boston, Mass area that you've seen on Good Will Hunting and movies like that. And I can't tell you how often I heard from my very tough disciplinarian dad, you don't need it, you want it. And people in hell want ice water. How's it feel? It's like, Jesus, we can't get by this guy. So there are needs and wants. What I found out in most European mentality, they focus on what the needs are, the essentials, and then, more than that. But when we go with wants, well, maybe you need a vehicle, but maybe you want a Rolls Royce, or you want a Bentley, or you want an Aston Martin, or you want the Mercedes, but I remember when my career really broke after national TV, I was still driving a $3,000 used station wagon because I really liked it. And somebody said to me, so, hey, Doc, where's your BMW? Yeah. Once I was inside of it, it was fine. So eventually I started, getting newer cars, but it wasn't a must that I had to have what I wanted. I had what I needed. When you live with needs first and you start to downsize a little bit, and it's about whittling, it's never about adding. This isn't about adding. I'm going to get to that in a minute. It's about subtracting. So we want attraction, law of attraction. We want to manifest and receive. Well, first you need traction, but before you can get any traction, you need subtraction. Okay? It's all the TION words. So with subtraction, you can immediately gain traction and then start getting closer toward what you want to be attraction, the law of. So what I said about whittling away is whenever I work with an individual, and again, you're past being everything that's in here, adding on, adding on, adding on, adding on. It's not about adding anything else. The problem is you're blocked. So it's about removing what's blocking you, what's in the way, what's allowing you to feel detached from your power in order to reconnect to what was there when you were new, and it's what you always knew at a certain level, and it can feel new again. Okay? It's the same thing when I look at people's websites or their business or all the training they're doing. Oof. So we need to remove, we need to start subtracting. Even time you're spending. People say, I don't have enough time. Well, where are you going? What are you doing? Unfortunately, the most common answer, and I mean on a very large scale, is TV. Wow. Burn it. When you think about what it requires in time to achieve a goal, and you tell me that 3, 4, or more hours after you're done with your work goes in front of it to sit in front of a television, I can tell you what your immediate problem is. That time is not being applied properly, and time is the greatest commodity we have. It's the most precious commodity there is because time is life. You run out of time, you ran out of life. So the time that we abuse is it's criminal. Now I can, screw off like a lot of people. I can waste time, meaning I don't waste it because it could be a 3-hour meditation. It could be walking in the woods. So to me, that's the balance that I require in order to create the life that I'm living and not feel held hostage and to not be overwhelmed and not to be miserable and unhappy. Just work, 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 right? All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. If you saw The Shining. So we start subtracting. Subtract what you really don't require and just make it a practice, a month. Say for a month, we're going to cut this out. Okay. And you'll find out how much you really don't require. Where you spending your time and where you spend your energy. What I do is I manage even the conversations I'm in, the people I'm around, the things that I'll talk about and won't talk about, what I'll look at online and what I won't look at. This is when you start managing your actions, your thoughts, your time, your interactions, and start subtracting in order to create a little bit more clarity and focus and less distraction, you see? So that's the first place we start. Well, actually, the first place was honesty and truth, yeah, for awareness. So then we start by looking at why we're being overwhelmed, why we're being held hostage, why we put in so much time and so much effort to get nowhere better, nowhere good, or make no progress at all and just find ourselves in the same place like a boat that's anchored. Like, oh, look, we're moving. No, you're not. You're coming back to the same place, right? So you're just in orbit. But you're to be a shooting star, not to be in orbit, but to skyrocket. And here's the other part. Because of this thing called the past, and this is one of the most important things I work on with people, because of perceptions when you were younger, because of things that other people said that you weren't able to deflect and realize that they're whacked out, they got issues. The older the person is, the more time they had to accumulate issues on their own. Though they might have been wonderful people in your life, they might not have known what was best. And you listened to it and thought, that's what I should do. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So what happens is this, and this, what I'm going to share is what creates what we call the imposter syndrome. And I've worked with a lot of celebrities, and I've worked with people who you would know their names, not just celebrities in that way of music or acting, but people who have achieved high levels of success. And even most of those people say, I'm waiting to be found out. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. They really don't know the real me. It's just me. So what happens is because most people don't realize we're all people from somewhere that have greatness within and can achieve great things, that we start to feel unworthy and we start to feel we're not deserving of those outcomes, those achievements, those accomplishments. Sometimes it's because of contrast. Well, if I do really, really, really well, first my family, then my friends. Well, let me share something with you now about progress. Progress dictates change. Progress dictates change. How can you progress, achieve, accomplish, succeed, and do it all right where you are? Something's going to change. It has to, right? Especially if you're applying yourself in order to live in a better place, live in a healthier lifestyle, go to beautiful places, and to be around people who are better influences. So we start subtracting. So subtraction to gain traction, right? After honesty and truth. Then we start realizing that in order to receive, to achieve, to accomplish, to succeed, change is part of it. And that we are worthy and deserving. Whatever your belief system is, wherever you think you're from, just remember this. You were a little baby in a maternity ward. So here's the exercise. Picture going to the maternity ward. There you are looking in that glass window. There's all the little babies in the bassinets. Bassinets? whatever. Which ones are you going to take and send off to have a miserable, horrible life, to be sexually abused, to have drug addicted parents, to not eat every day, and to be physically abused and verbally abused, to start to believe that they're less than they really are? Which ones? None, right? Now, you have the means to let all of them have the most beautiful, wonderful life you can imagine. Okay, all of them, right? We are those babies. What more do you need to know? As Zig Ziglar once wrote on page 1 of one of his books, I am from the source of greatness, therefore I am great. The end. We have greatness within us. However, this invisible wall that feels like a brick or steel wall, that's keeping you stuck, that's keeping you limited, that creates a misery of limitations. The hostage situation you're in can change sooner, quicker, and better than you could ever imagine, because everything I'm sharing, everything that I'm saying is possible and within, it's right here between these ears. It's not out here, is waiting for you. That's the best part. The best part is everything that you're looking for is already inside of you, and it's waiting for you to access it. And when you do, it's on board. Your wish is my command. So what could you start doing today? Type something in there. Come over to mastervisionary.com while you still have a little bit of time. And let's see what it is that you have come to realize just in this short time so far that is in the way, that you feel has blocked you, and you really, really want to release. Let me know. I'll share something with you. But here's the other part. What I'm talking about, everything that I'm sharing does take something, again, that's already inside of you. You notice how this is becoming a theme? Everything you ever needed, you were born with. You just blocked from it. Everything that's been stacked, you just blocked from it. And you haven't learned how to remove that so you can access, right? In order to do what I'm talking about, it doesn't take a mountain of it, but it does take a little bit of confidence, a little bit of a belief in yourself and that you are capable. But see, that's the beauty of having guidance. That's the beauty of, well, I have a coach. I have to be silly not to have one, because when you have assistance, when you have someone who can create clarity and direction, then you're able to get there without the frustration, the struggling, because again, the 90% of habitual ways of being, not just acting and reacting, but even thinking and talking, but being, 90% of it is the same. How are you going to get out of your own way and coach yourself to the outcome? Chris, thank you. Thank you for the message. I'm glad it's helping. So the amount of confidence it takes is the same amount of confidence it takes to do anything that you do. Some people don't like to go to a party, so it takes a little bit of confidence to do that. Some people don't like to, I don't know, drive alone. I mean, I've seen a lot of issues. Some people don't like to go out for dinner by themselves because of some crazy ass BS that they heard that you're a loser if you don't have someone to be with. No. I'm much happier because I'm not sitting across somebody who has no conversation, doesn't even want to be here, or is just ruining my night because it's not who I want to be with. Just because I had to go out with somebody and not look like a loser. What are you kidding me? No. Independence, freedom. So some people, it takes confidence to actually go have a meal alone. That little bit of confidence is all it takes to say, okay, yep, I'm stuck. Yep, I've been fooling myself, lying to myself, and I even kind of knew it. And it's time to make a change. Now, here's a gift. All right, I'm pausing because I wasn't going to do this, but it just came across, so I believe that I'm supposed to. I offered 10 people access into my new program, From Stress to Success, which is the program I'm using to help you free yourself from being hostage. It's a 12-week program that you can read on the website, mastervisionary.com, work with Tom. All you have to do is email me, and my email address is tomnicoli@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put half off. And then write me a message in the email and I'll contact you. I'll extend my offer because there's actually one spot left, and I think Nina's going to take it. Someone messaged me this morning. So the spots are gone. But I know that it's a difficult time. I know it's difficult anyway to own your own stuff and to say, I could use some help. But you know what? Ask and you receive, right? Ask for help, you usually get it. If you're serious, and you got to be serious because we're not playing at this, and you really want to get unstuck, you really want to see things change, you want your mental, emotional, physical health to improve, you want your life to be something you want to wake up to each day and anticipate, you want to start tapping into the resources within you that you forgot about, haven't used, or haven't even accessed yet, you email me and it will be half off the program fee. This will not last long, so take advantage while you can, okay? So let me share, after I have a little drink here, let me share one more technique with you. And it's one that I used to have a lot of fun with. Now, my dad had passed away in July of 2019. And he was old school. He was that hard-ass old school guy that you see in movies, like the Robert Duvall character that he's always playing, right? Guys like that. And there was a time you didn't say anything to my old man because you could have some consequences. But as he got older, and I got older, I used to have fun when I'd say, well, I did it again. My parents would say, what? Oh, I brought back another belief system today in my meditation. My dad would say things like, what's wrong with you? But what I used to do is this, and I urge you to do it. There'd be something that would come up, okay? I remember when I first did it, it was hard work because I was taught to work hard. If you work hard, you break your ass every day, you get paid. There are people working hard every day, all their lives, who are fantastic, wonderful, kind people, and they're never going to get ahead. So I learned hard work isn't really the answer. Smart work. So I sat down with that belief one day, and I just sat and meditated on it, and I'm like, where did that come from? Hard work, work hard. I've been doing that my whole life, you know? And this was, God, 15 years ago anyway. And it hit me, that's my dad's belief, because that's all he knew. You don't know what you don't know. He didn't know there were other ways. Like my mom once said, we didn't know there were ways to get you guys in college with grants and these options and these options. And I said, avoid the regret. You don't know what you don't know. So I said, what I do is I put that belief in a box. I put a cover on it with a bow, and I slide it onto your doorstep, and I leave without it. And I say, thank you, but that's not mine, and I will not accept it anymore. That's my phrase. Thank you, but that's not mine, and I won't accept it anymore. And I would just visualize going back home. Oh, I did that with a lot of beliefs. Let me tell you. So are they religious-based beliefs, some sort of structure? And is it family-based? Is it just something you heard along the way that you never sat with And if you sat with that thought, you'd be thinking, well, wait a minute, where'd that come from? I don't know. But man, I've thought that a long time. Do I believe that? No. Then what the hell are you doing? Put it in a box, blow it up into a balloon, all in your visualization. Okay? And just imagine it going like a balloon at a parade that slips from a child's wrist. And watch it till it's out of sight, knowing it can never return. These visual exercises actually have impact. Now, when you take those visual exercises and you enhance them with the energy of emotion and feeling, they change and they improve. When you take those visualizations and you become more fine-tuned on them, they improve. And that's just one way, one technique, one process, one inner power you have. You just haven't become aware of, just haven't used properly. Now, I could sit here and tell you about your neuron changes and synapses and neural pathways in your brain and your prefrontal cortex and all the parts of the brain that are functioning when these things happen, and even talk about epigenetics and psychoneuroimmunology, PNI, and how all that stuff happens. But you probably sit here at the end going, just tell me how to do it, Tom. Just tell me what to do and how to do it. And yeah, all that stuff can change, because here's what we've learned. The techniques, the practices, these processes that are natural, no heavy lifting, no running, no sweating. These natural processes that are there, that you were born with, that are ready to change your life, are more accessible and more effective than you can imagine, but it is a practice. So this is another part of what I want to share in the little list of things to start implementing, is that when you make a commitment, here's one of the biggest problems. And I'll even tell you why the problem exists. We'll use going on a diet to lose 10 or 20 pounds as your example. Most people only know force and willpower, a conscious approach. Now, here's what's going on. Imagine this for a moment now. Picture this. You have programs, part of the 90%, that says, for all these reasons down below that you aren't accessing and don't even know about, that are emotional, energetic, conditioned, habitual reactions and actions, are having you eat a certain way, think about food a certain way, or what's not even food, processed edible product, because food is only something that was once alive and has not been tampered with. Once it's tampered with, or if it was never alive and growing, it's not food. Your body doesn't know what it is, okay? So now with the 10% of a new thought, it's not even a new thought though, it's part of that 90% of repetition, I'm going to use this program, and I'm going to lose that weight. And you do it as quickly as possible. You hang in there for as long as you can, because it's inevitable the 90% is going to take over. The 90% is going to now bring you the old patterns. And that's why if you ever accomplish what you set out to accomplish, you usually yo-yo. So the other part is knowing that when you make a commitment to do something that will create a change, like I'm always dirty, and somebody teaches you about washing up with soap. I got to use soap again? Yeah, if you want to stay clean. Oh, I need to sit down for 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever amount of time, and be quiet and access my inner power by using this technique, this process. If you want to get the results that it got you. So whenever you're going to make a change, you're going to change your lifestyle in some way. But here's the good news. You're going to reduce the amount of time, struggle, tension, pressure, effort, emotion, dialogue, and everything else that follows, that's not a bad lifestyle change to make, is it? So you get to shift and adjust into what you once wished and hoped for. But you have to realize that when you adjust into it, that's the new way. You see, that's the new way. If you want to go and get the familiar ways, the old ways, then you get the familiar and old results. So that's what it really boils down to, folks. So anyone that has a message, anyone that has, my friend is experiencing, yeah, we get 5-ish minutes or so, something like that. Go ahead and type it in. Let me know, and I can address it specifically. And remember, email tomnicoli@gmail.com if you are really ready to end being sick and tired. Aren't you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Okay, there's a question just popped in my head that I get asked a lot, and it's about visualization. Why and how is visualization as powerful as it is? It's a really good question, actually. Okay, and here's why. In your physical reality, we create habits by doing something enough times that you say, oh, I could do that in my sleep, or I could do that unconsciously. I could do that with my eyes closed. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Michael Jordan had demonstrated to one of the Bulls owners. He came in as a part owner when Michael was on the team, and he talked about visualization and mind techniques. And he says, yeah, we know. I mean, he had Phil Jackson as their coach. He was known as the Zen coach, right? So Michael brought the guy out to, Bill Bartram brought him out to the court before a playoff game, and he shot a free throw with his eyes closed. So during the game, Michael has to shoot a free throw near the end of the game. He looks over and winks, and he shoots it with his eyes closed. So I could do that with my eyes closed, absolutely. We have 5 senses. When you physically do something, all 5 senses are activated. You may walk into a room and without knowing it, the scent changed, the heat of the room changed, the way your feet felt on the floor changed, whatever you were listening to changed in some way. You may not have registered it consciously, but subconsciously it all got registered and stored. So when you consciously, intentionally now apply the visualization process, we have the same 5 senses in our imagination as we do our reality. Partly why Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge takes you from A to B, but imagination is endless. Imagination is how you mold your life. There's a saying, if you can't see where you're going, your mind won't know how to get there. So when we visualize, here's the biggest tip I could give you about this. Intentionally apply your 5 senses. Sometimes you might not get a real clear scent or a physical feeling, but do your best to imagine what it would be like, what that might smell like, what it might hear, what it might sound like when, I don't know, you're buying a new car and you have the visual. What's it sound like when you close a door? What's it feel like under your butt when you get in that seat? What do your hands feel like? What's the texture of the wheel? What does it sound like? Is it that quiet? Can you hear the outside noise? The catalyst, after you apply these 5 senses, is feeling. So you have your visualization, you have clarity, you're pinpointed, you're targeted in, you apply the 5 senses, but it falls flat unless you have the most important part, which is your energetic self, which is feeling, emotion. So imagine people visualize, hitting the lottery, let's say. They're sitting there in their visualization like this. I don't think that's how you'd look if you hit the lottery. But I think a lot of people don't understand. You can be excited. You can be moving. I mean, there are walking meditations, running meditation, you see? So apply the feeling as best as you can. And here's a good example. Okay, we got a couple minutes. Here's a good example for that. There's a piece of paper about this big. Has 6 numbers on it, or 5 numbers, and then that 6th one over there has a date on it. You watch TV and you see the numbers come out on the drawing for the day, and you go out of your mind because you hit the lottery. How do you feel? How are you talking? How loud are you? How energetic are you? You didn't hit the lottery. Not yet. You have a piece of paper. That's how capable you are of feeling something before you actually have it. Because you could go to the lottery office in your state and they say, yeah, we have some bad news. The treasurer has been ripping off the lottery account and we don't have the money to pay you. You have a winning ticket, but you don't have any money yet. So the time between the ticket being a winning ticket and going to get the money is when you practiced how to apply an emotion when something hadn't been fully realized yet. So fully realize whatever it is that you're visualizing, whatever it is that is your desire, your change, and then put the emotion with it. That's the catalyst that makes it all happen. Because not until you vibrate, your energy vibrates, and high is excited and low is sad and melancholy, can you then align with what's out there? You hear it a lot if you've dabbled in this at all. It's like a radio station. You could be close, man. You could be so close, but you just haven't got it on the right number, the right part. The dial needs to be turned a little bit more. And then boom, you bring in everything that's there in that airwave, all that music, all that talk, all the information. But you have to align. And how we align is through the energetic vibration of emotion. Okay? So let me recap a little bit. Email tomnicoli@gmail.com to access and to get entry into this new program, 12-week program that change your life. Oh, by the way, you will have to fill out a very short form because this isn't for everybody. And if I really feel that you're not a good fit or I'm not a good fit for you, we don't work together. So that's one thing. The other, honesty and truth. Be truthful and honest with yourself and sit with yourself and forget judgment. That's horrible. That's being a horrible coach to yourself. Be a great supporter. How can I help me? What can I do for me? How can I be kind to me? How can I treat myself like I do a good friend with kindness and forgiveness and understanding, tolerance and patience, right? Love and joy. Begin with your subtraction. Do I really need to put in this much time? Do I need to really do that to make that amount of money? Is my return on investment good? Am I putting in all this time and getting compensated fairly? That's up to you, right? And then as I subtract and I'm gaining traction, what are my goals? And am I ready to adjust, to shift, to make the commitment, and to do what needs to be done? Hey, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if you're just not sure, again, just drop me a message, tomnicoli@gmail.com. And whether this is personal or if it's your business, you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, that's being blocked because of the person who's making the decisions, which is self. That's the other part. It amazes me when I talk to people about their businesses, about their practice or whatever it is they're doing, and they don't think they're part of the problem. Well, I don't see how we're not. We're either part of the solution or we're part of the problem. And if even we're a small part of the problem, we want to get that out of the way. So the person is always focused on, because everything else you're looking to achieve and accomplish is secondary. Primarily, it's all in here. And when that's right, you'll be shocked at what will start happening out here. So drop me a message, send me an email, let me know how it's going. Even if you just want to say, hey, this part of that conversation helped me out. not thanks for the call, but what part of it? What helped you? And maybe I can enlighten or enhance and shed some more light on whatever it was to help you out a little more. So I wish you well. Master Visionary Coaching, mastervisionary.com. From stress to success, 12 weeks to change your life. And every other Tuesday, we're here live at noon. So tell your friends, put it in your calendar. And on the next show, I think I'm going to have an expert guest so we can even find out more about how we can change our lives and have the explosively expressed experiences that we're supposed to have and to really live, which is why we're here. So thank you for being here. I wish you all well, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Till the next time, make it a great day.
Thank you for watching the Master Visionary Show. Join us every other Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to remove the blocks that are keeping you from living a healthy, wealthy, and happy life.